Okay, so last time I believe, without correcting it, I hit a bad ending. That not um, was not the location X, right? It was wandering around the crash slide end, I believe, and then hit bad ending, and then it just ended, right? So what I'm going to do first, before anything else, then, is to redo an entire Satoru, um, and get that bad end, get to the end, and see if I can get the extra 10% I previously didn't get in the end of the world, or whatever that scene is called. I won't record all of it, because it is boring to do that. This has been fast forwarded through a million times already. But if I encounter any text I haven't encountered before just by chance, I will unpause and start recording again. So I'll do that off recording while also eating dinner, and then come back when we get to the end. Okay, I made it through to here. I just realized something. Couldn't I use the shortcut menu to make my life easier sometimes? Like if I get a bad ending as Kokoro, does that infect me when I start from the shortcut menu as Satoru? I mean, it might, in which case then you could do the seat more easily. I haven't used the shortcut menu before in other visual novels, so I didn't realize its utility. I didn't think about it. Anyway, we're going to not open it and see what happens here. See if we get different text in any sort of way. Yes, we do. The headline, 3 decomposed male and female corpses found on Mount Akakura had disappeared. Instead, it said that their bodies were discovered on January 17th along with those of the other passengers. So they didn't come back alive. That means that the 3 of them died on January 11th. Then you can continue. So yes, there was something different there. Now, is that all 100% though? That's the question. Of course, I want to save the system data. Let's go to see my scenes list. Yes, the end of the world is now at 100%. Sweet. Okay. I suppose now what I would do is I need to get back into the golden ending. So to do that, I need to load something like Determined Fate. And then turn back, I think. Let's see if this was the right one. Yeah, here we go. So this will reset me. I won't make you sit through this. You can skip it in your YouTube anyway, but I'm gonna I'm going to pause the encoding over this so you don't have to sit through it again, this auto roll, because I can't accelerate this or spam through it in any sort of way. Okay, I made it to within the cage. So, with that I can fast forward through, I believe. There's some delayed response. Okay, so I guess the Kokoro good ending, I presume. And then maybe we could use the shortcut menu. I could use the shortcut menu, just kind of skip forward. That is, do something like Grab like the latest possible Satoru load. See if this works. The reason why I'm hesitant to do it this time is because they have that 98% on one of the scenes. And like that 98% could be something that's influenced by earlier decisions. And I want to make sure I won't have divergent decisions, but we'll try this and see. It's worth a shot, right? It'd save me a lot of work if this works, if this succeeds. I'm going to pause the encoding and get back to it once it gets to the go inside or not choice. Okay, I'm there in that what I described as the go inside or not choice. We're not going to go inside. See how this goes. I suppose I should pay attention to the scene names when they pop up. This is ambivalence, right? Identification. Anima. I'm gonna mute it first. And then I'm going to skip it, basically. Okay, I made it to the credits, and now it's skipping again. Because it skipped started skipping automatically. It paused. It's unskippable text. A picture of a snowman with its eyebrows shaped like a ha character. I instantly replied. Okay, so it gives you... So you get different text depending on which thing Kokoro decided to draw. So in other words, to get the last combination of this, we're going to have to go back as Kokoro and choose the third thing. I forgot what it was. It's on a Daruma whose body is swollen to grotesque proportions due to the abuse of steroids undergoing a physical examination. Is it? What? So that's the... So that's different from go back to the Netherlands, I guess. Oh, that might be the other reflections text. What? Okay, so I get the picture about that. Okay, I'm gonna pause encoding here. Oh, I still have the sound off. Okay, I'll turn the sound back on, and then I'm gonna pause and come back and read this to pick the other option. Okay, took care of what I need to take care of there. I might want to actually mute again because the water noises are kind of obnoxious. So I'm gonna like silence the water noise in the video. Okay. Wait. Yeah. So I'm gonna drop a save at this point. I guess the save would be around examine. Yeah, so save number 9. And then we'll try the opposite choice than the one I made when I went to this the first time. Why is my alarm clock 33 minutes fast? Okay, why was my alarm clock in the room 33 minutes fast? And we can actually, like, get a tip for alarm clock. Oh my goodness, there's 14 pages of this? Let's reflect a bit on the consequences of the alarm clock being wrong. Why is it that just because it was 33 minutes fast, Kokoro and I have assumed that our minds were exchanging simultaneously? The reason is as follows. You already went through this, but it's going to go through this for me. First, for example, let's suppose that the transfer occurs at 1. At 1, Kokoro's mind comes to Sphia. There, she looks at the incorrect alarm clock. She mistakes the mistaken time, which is 1:33, for the actual time of the transfer. Then, 66 minutes later, after 2 more transfers have occurred, Kokoro 2:06, Kokoro's mind returns to the shelter cabin. There, she looks at a wristwatch. She sees the correct time of the transfer, which is 2:06. Seeing as she had transferred to Sphia at 1:33 and returned to the shelter cabin at 2:06, she thinks she has spent 33 minutes at Sphia. Indeed, there is no mistake in that the time of her stay at Sphia was 33 minutes. However, from 1:33 to 2:06, her mind was actually in the third area. It is from the perspective that we could say that she is mistaken about the time of the transfer. Well then, since the times of her transfers from the shelter cabin are random, let's assume that no more hour has passed. 1 more hour has passed. At 3:06, Kokoro's mind is at Sphia. She looks at the alarm clock. She mistakes the incorrect time. It shows 3:39 for the actual time of the transfer. What's important here is the fact that each time and every time she cannot confirm what the time was directly before the transfer. That's why here each time she is led to think that the time of her stay at the shelter cabin is 1 hour and 33 minutes, regardless of the fact that in reality no longer than an hour actually passed. Then this process repeats. At 4:12, she'll return to the shelter cabin, check the correct time against her wristwatch, and assume that she was at Sphia for 33 minutes. So then what happens in my case? At 1, my mind goes to the third area. At that time, my sensory organs don't function normally, so not even aware of a transfer took place. Then, 33 minutes later, at 1:33, my mind goes to the shelter cabin. I check Kokoro's wristwatch and see the correct time. I see that the time of the transfer is 1:33. 33 minutes pass. At 2:06, my mind returns to Sphia. There I look at my wristwatch. I see the correct time of the transfer at 2:06. Seeing as I have transferred to the shelter cabin at 1:33 and returned to Sphia at 2:06, I think that the time I have spent at the shelter cabin is 33 minutes. In my case, it is true that both at the time of the stay at the shelter cabin is 33 minutes, and that from 1:33 to 2:06, I was in the shelter cabin. Thus, I am always aware of the correct times of the transfers. Well then, since the moment when I transferred to Sphia is simultaneous with Kokoro's transfer from the shelter cabin, let's assume that 1 more hour has passed. 2:06, when I go to the third area, my throwers don't function normally, so I'm not even aware a transfer took place. Mine goes back to the shelter cabin, check Kokoro's wristwatch, see the correct time. I see the time transfer is 3:39. What's important here is the fact that each and every time I cannot confirm that the time was directly before the transfer. That's why here each time I'm led to think the time of my stay at Sphia is 1 hour and 33 minutes, regardless of the fact that in reality no longer than an hour actually passes. Then this process repeats. At 4:12, I return to Sphia, check the correct time on my wristwatch, and assume that I was at the shelter cabin for 33 minutes. Thus, the times of the transfers that Kokoro writes in the notepad would be as follows. 1:33 transferred to the shelter cabin. Transferred from shelter cabin to Sphia. 2:06 transferred from Sphia to the shelter cabin. 3:39 transferred from the shelter cabin to Sphia. 4:12 transferred from Sphia to the shelter cabin. Well, the times of my own measurements would be as follows. The same, but the places switched. Therefore, since these possess the perfect symmetry of a mirror image, both I and Kokoro were led to believe that we were transferring simultaneously between locations. Just for anybody who actually needed that spelled out in very clearly, it has now been spelled out. Is it really that important? Yeah, it's very important. Listen, Uni. Until yesterday, Kokoro and I thought we were transferring between 2 different points. However, that wasn't true. The truth is, you were transferring between 3 points, right? I know that already. And I just realized by trying to mute the water sounds, I was muting the voice acting as well. And thus, you didn't know what I was pausing to listen to when the voice actors were speaking. So here's the annoying water noise again.
なんで知ってるんだ
How do you know that?
だから言ったじゃん。
I already told you.
僕はこの1年間、転移現象に関するありとあらゆる事柄を学習してきたんだ。
Over the past year, I learned everything there was to know about the transference phenomenon.
それに、3つの人格が入れ替わってることなんて、スフィアにいた時から知ってたし。
And besides, I knew that you were shifting between 3 different personalities even while I was still at Sphere.
まあいいだろ
Well, whatever.
うそれじゃあ話が早い
That makes things easier.
なんで目覚まし時計が狂ってたんだ
Why was my alarm clock messed up?
さあ、
Who knows?
サトルが自分でやったんじゃないの？
Did you do it yourself, Satoru? Yeah, likely.
俺が
Me?
じゃなかったら、第3の人格がやったのかもね。
If not you, then the third personality. No, he would have done it himself because he was part of this plan. He just doesn't remember.
第三の人格って
The third personality.
お前それが誰なのか知ってるのか
Do you know who that is?
もちろん、
Of course.
サトルだってもう気づいてるんでしょ？
You've already figured it out too, haven't you, Satoru? Yeah, but that third personality wouldn't have the ability to set an alarm clock exactly 33 minutes. No, that's how much that it needs to be reset by.
ああ一応な
Yeah, I suppose.
でも俺の推理が全て正しいとは限らない
But I don't know whether all my deductions are correct or not.
もしかしたらお前の思ってる人物とは違うかもしれないわけで
It might be a different person than the one you're thinking of.
よかったら教えてくれないか
Won't you tell me
第三の人格とは誰なのか
who the third personality is?
きっとサトルが思ってるのと同じ人だと思うけど。
I'm sure it is the same person you're thinking of, Satoru. So he confirms it. You only thought for a while before he finally spoke again.
第3の人格。
The third
それ
personality.
はね、
It's the babies. Okay, then it should fast forward through. I forgot that was an animation. Cool. So that probably checked off that the infinite it checked off like one of those, finished one of those scenes, but I didn't finish the one where with the snowman in it because there's probably a I forgot what the 3 choices were, the things you could draw. The third thing you could draw probably also has more text as well, so I probably didn't actually get all of it. It's probably at 99 now or something. Yeah, Delta is at 99. Finished in infinite history, but Delta's at 99 as opposed to 98, because you theoretically need the third drawing. Now, I'm going to try to see if I can get that in a cheap, easy way, but I might not be able to because it may not set all the variables from Kokoro until you get the good ending as Kokoro with all of those variables behind it, right? So, if you understood what that would mean. So I could do like a shortcut, and I could grab Kokoro, maybe day 2 beginning, and choose what to draw, and then save. But I don't know if that's gonna I don't know if that would like it's gonna set the variable yet, right? So okay, it's a bunny. So I'm gonna try choosing draw a bunny. And then I'm just gonna save. I don't know, do it here. And then see if, then go to title. Yes. And save the system data. And see if that, like, resets, see if that will apply. Again, it may not apply until I go all the way through to the good ending, which, knowing this game, it would do that. So, we're gonna do another shortcut. And we're gonna shortcut to Satoru Epilogue. This is the Kokoro Epilogue, isn't it? Yeah, I goofed up. I picked the wrong one. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, I actually picked the Satoru Epilogue. There we go. Here's Delta. Nope, it's still doing the snowman thing. I literally have to go all the way through with that to the Kokoro good ending for it to apply. Which is insane. Anyway. So, I'm gonna do that, but before I do that, I'm gonna see if I can observe here. There's another, the back to the Netherlands thing, and anabolic steroids. That came up in another different scene, right? Like an earlier scene when Satoru's looking at the drawing. Maybe it has something to do with Reflection 1. So I have to go back and do Reflection 1 again also. Okay. Well, that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to pause the encoding, and while the encoding is paused, I'm going to try to get through Kokoro's whole thing, and to apply the change in what I drew. Yeah. Actually, I'm unpause. I want you to see me load the save, so you see exactly what I'm doing first before So, what is mutual understanding, right? And then, so I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to pause the encoding here. Okay, I restarted the recording. Why? Because we hit a different scene. Let me hit the right click here just to see what the scene title is. At the end of private plans. And then, just for my own convenience while I was fast forwarding, because I was like watching YouTube videos at the same time. So I like to waste time in different ways while I'm wasting time. I turned the SFX volume down, so let me turn it back up to, like, you know, there or something. Okay. So let's look at the backlog. What is this? Meizumi's shrill voice resounded throughout the cabin. How did this? There is food. I feel like I know how this scene actually happens. If you do too much, like, if you make Yomogi too mad, you get at the end of self-interest or something like that. If you make Meizumi too mad, you get something like at the end of grudges. This looks like at the end of private plans. Which I think it's like if you balance Yomogi and Meizumi like enough. So you do good Meizumi choices, but also good Yomogi choices, such that you don't end up with either of them too bad, then that's probably how you trigger this scene. Don't tell me that y'all shunned me and hid it from me. Her eyes were full of suspicion, restlessly studying us. This is bad. Mayuzumi has the wrong idea.
違います。
No, you're wrong.
落ち着け。
Calm down.
うるさい。
Shut the hell up. When we took a step toward Mayuzumi, she stepped back and grew more and more
最
wary.
低よ。あんたたち最低よ。
Your saiteo, which apparently they start translating to bastards. I don't know if that's literal or not. You bastards. You're all bastards.
私を殺す気ね。3人だけで生き残ろうって魂胆ね。
Do you plan to kill me? You're all plotting for just the three of you to survive.
誤解です。
You got it all wrong. Mayuzumi didn't even try to listen. She kept shaking her head, refusing to hear us.
そうはさせるもんか。
As if I'd let you. Mayuzumi abruptly turned. Opening the door, she flew out into the intense snowstorm.
待て
Wait. Yogi hurried out after her. Uni and I were right behind him. As soon as I got outside, the snow and wind painfully struck against my face. I can't even keep my eyes open. And yet somehow, by squinting my eyes, I was able to look for the figure of Mayuzumi. In the white landscape, I saw Mayuzumi's back. She was running unsteadily. Mingled with the sound of the roaring wind, I heard her screams.
こんなものこうしてやる。
You, how dare you? I'll show you. Mayuzumi turned the can upside down, emptying all the biscuits inside her hand. Then she brought the hand, holding the pile of biscuits to her mouth. No. Okay, I got interrupted there, starting back up again. I probably skipped a line by accident, so... Backlog. Yeah, now I really have to backlog here. Kokoro goes, no! Big no! I tried to stop her, but it was already too late. Without any hesitation, Mayuzumi tossed the biscuits into her mouth. In her frenzy, the biscuits that didn't reach her mouth fell into the snow. And Mayuzumi's body swayed, then collapsed like that onto the snow. Yomi caught up to her and forcibly pulled her to her feet.
お前、なんてことを
You, what did you do? Mayuzumi forcefully shook off Yogomi's hand. Her jaw was busy chewing.
そんな僕たちのご飯。
Oh no, our food. Uni weakly muttered beside me. I too felt my energy leaving me. All of our precious rations are gone. What will we do now?
あんたたちが悪いんだ。
You're the ones at fault here. Still facing away from us, Mayuzumi kept ranting.
平等に分配しようだって？どこが平等なのよ。
Let's divide it equally, huh? Some equality.
私に隠れて3人でこそこそと多めに食料を隠し持ってるなんて。
You three secretly hid it from me. You kept all the food to yourselves.
自分たちが生き延びるためなら私なんか死んだっていいってわけ？
Sacrificing me so the rest of you can live.
ふざけんな！
Yes. Maybe her rage shocked even Yomogi, for he didn't dare object. But I couldn't stay
そ
quiet.
れは誤解だって言ってるでしょ。
I said you got it
あ
all
れは
wrong.
私とよもぎさんとユニ3人分の食料を一つにまとめただけだったんです。
Which ate was our combined rations, Yomogi's, Uni's, and mine. And this is kind of obnoxious because, although I can't skip, I've read all of this before. This, I think, is like this exactly the same as at the end of Grudges or whatever. Or at the end of Self-Interests. I think it's probably the end of Self-Interests.
騙されるもんか。
Food, you think you can trick me? I couldn't forgive her obstinate attitude. Why doesn't she even try to trust us? Why is she always so selfish? Even if she acts that way, it's useless. We have to help each other.
あゆずみさん、あなたは自分のやったことが。
Mayuzumi-san, what you've done.
とにかく、小屋に戻ろう。このままじゃ凍え死ぬ。
In any case, let's go back to the cabin. We'll die of the cold if we keep hanging around here. We've been outside for only a short while, and yet my body was already covered in snow. While brushing off the snow clinging to my coat, I glanced at Mayuzumi. Still standing in the doorway without trying to brush the snow away, Mayuzumi grumbled to herself.
私は悪くない。私は悪くない。
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
悪くない？よくそんなことが言えるな。
Not at fault. You're in no position to say these kind of things. Yoi drew near Mayuzumi with a stern expression.
僕たちはお前に殺されたと言っても過言じゃないんだぞ。
It's It's not an overstatement to say that you've killed us. As might be expected, Miyazumi felt ashamed.
何よ、そんな大げさな言い方。
What? That's such an exaggeration.
大げさなんかじゃありません。
It's no exaggeration. I too was unable to keep silent.
なんであなたはそんな自分勝手なんですか？
Why are you so selfish?
強がるのはいいですけど、それに私たちを巻き込まないでください。
It's okay to pretend to be tough, but please don't drag us into it. Miyazumi's expression changes. Her pupils seem to quiver.
最初に言ったはずだぞ。
I said so right from the very beginning.
雪山ではたった一人の勝手な行動がチーム全体を死に追いやると。
On a snowy mountain, if even a single person acts selfishly, they'll lead the entire team to their deaths. Yamogi shouted, his face red. It felt as if all the frustration that had been accumulating over the past several days had finally exploded.
男に指図されるのが嫌いだと。
Are you opposed to taking instruction from a man?
オフィスではそれがかっこいいかもしれないけどな、ここは極寒の雪山なんだよ。
In an office, that might be oh so cool, but this is a snowy mountain in the dead of
生
winter.
きるか死ぬかしかないんだ。
We have no choice. It's life or
く
death.
だらない見栄を張ってるんじゃない。
There's no room for you to protect your worthless self-image. Accuses her of being a feminist. Which is actually not what's going on here, but it's, I guess, entertaining. Miyazumi hung her head. She squatted down in place, her knees thudding on the floor.
そうなんないでよ。
Don't shout so loud. Miyazumi was crying.
私だけのけ者にされてて、
It's just, only I was the outcast.
どうすればいいのかわかんなくなって。
Well, we definitely got to do stuff now, and now I'm suspicious that this is not actually if you're having a good balance. This is if you have a really high Miyazumi score. Not knowing what to do.
知らなかったのよ。
I didn't know.
何も教えてくれなかったない。
You didn't tell me anything, did you?
怖かった。怖かったの。誰も信じられなくて。
I was scared, so scared, I couldn't trust anyone. Miyazumi sobbed like a child. The anger that I had felt just before receding like a wave as I saw Miyazumi break down in tears. For the first time, I felt I could see the real woman named Miyazumi Lin. She's just like us, struggling against fear and anxiety she had no idea how to cope with. And besides, I don't think there are many people who could to withstand that to start with. Miyazumi was unable to endure it. Even if she put on a strong front, she was in reality a frail person. I can understand how Miyazumi feels, cornered and at her breaking point. If I were to make my own wrong move right now, I too could end up just like her.
よもぎさん、私
Yamogi-san,
はあ、分かってる。
Yeah, I know. With a meek look, he
許
sighed.
してやろう。
Let's forgive her.
でももう僕たち食べるもの何もないんだよ。
But we have nothing left to eat, you know. Pouting Uni objected. For a child, I guess hunger is harder to bear than anything else, and he can't tolerate it. The swiftly approaching specter of death and our present hunger. For Uni, it's likely the latter that seems like the bigger problem. So Miyuzumi's theft of our rations becomes all the more unforgivable to
だからっ
him.
て眉墨を責めても食料が戻ってくるわけじゃない。
Condemning her won't bring them back.
そうだけど。
Right, but
もう言い争いはよそう。生き残ることだけを考えるんだ。
enough with this quarreling. Concentrate on staying alive. Right, that's much more constructive. Miyazumi still hadn't stopped crying. Looking as pitiful as she did, I couldn't call out to her. More than that, I didn't want to pity her. I can understand her feelings, but the sin she committed still remains. It doesn't change the reality of things. In this freezing cold cabin, how many more days must we hold out without anything to eat? The anxiety of being unable to tell how things will turn out overcame me. I heaved a deep sigh and sat down on the bed. I covered myself with the blankets. The battle against the unrelenting cold began once more. Okay, it's letting me skip again, so I'm going to stop encoding video and start again if something new comes up again, I guess. Okay, I made it to the credits and everything. I just got to go through the end here, and we'll finish off this Kokoro thing. I didn't get to check whether or not... I didn't go back to check whether or not I could trigger a different version of Endless Mantled Environment based on the same criteria that triggered that new scene at the end of Private Plans. But what I can do is kind of save it for later, where I go continue, do a quick load, and then I guess I can't do a quick load. Okay, so I can't recover that. Great. So into the Endless Mantled Environment. So I don't know if I could do the exact combination of choices and get a new version of Endless Mantled Environment still. But at least I'll check if that... the reason why I wouldn't really want to go back anyway is because once you get the game in a state where you have the Kokoro good ending set, you don't want to get out of it. You know what I mean? You don't want to mess it up again. So... yeah, Endless Mantled Environment is still at 80, measly at 87, which is still pretty low. Yeah, the end of Private Plans now, that's at 100. So that means we've 100%ed the scenes, right? If I go back to the index here, yeah, scenes 154 out of 154. So I got all the scenes now. Sweet. And choices is also at 100%. It might be at like 99.5%, but we've made all the choices, apparently, that you can make. Which, interesting. So, some stuff is complete ending scenes and choices. But let's go do what I was going to do here and shortcut into the end of Satoru epilogue, and see if it sets it now.
現在時
As you drew a bunny, like see if it does the bunny thing. Yeah, a picture of an intelligent-looking bunny. I instantly replied.
もうサトルひどいよ
Geez, Satoru, that's so mean.
どうしてこんなことするの
Why'd you do something like this?
こんなことって。
Something like what?
上から落書きしたのサトルでしょ
空母が来るわ空母が来るわと朝から大張り切りのお母さんとウサギではないんだな。
It's not someone's mom and a rabbit who've been yelling the aircraft carrier is coming, in high spirits all morning, is it?
は
What?
今僕のこと探してたでしょ
And then let's go to the title. Yes, save the system data. And then we should see that we've got all those ending scenes for Satoru at 100%. Unless it trolls me. Nope, it's at 100% now. So, we're at 100% all the way back to insertion, which is at 97%. And then back to DHA. So the NBA is at 99%. And Reflections 1's at 98, and Polyhedron's at 99. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to shortcut to Satoru day 2 beginning, right? Which should get me into Reflections 1. Examine everything.
空母が来るわ、空母が来るわ。と朝から大張り切りのお母さんとウサギ。
Yeah, someone's mom and a rabbit who's been calling the aircraft carrier is coming, the aircraft carrier is coming in high spirits all morning. Or something. Okay, now we're at Polyhedron. And you can do whatever order, but... likely... clean the tub. Okay. Let's go back to the title and see if that made it at 99% or 100%. Might have to do the steroid thing too, unfortunately. Nope, it cleared it out. Okay. So now I don't know how to do the last line I'm missing on Polyhedron, but I managed to clear out Reflection 1. Okay. So now I'm out of ideas. So I'm going to summarize my status right now for this 44 minutes in. Then I'll think about it for a couple days. And then see if I can't think of something. And if I don't, I'm going to go to a guide in order to try to finish all of this stuff off. So, I managed to get all of the endings. It took a guide to get through all of Kokuro's, but once that guide broke the ice, I could then use that idea to get all of Satoru's. So, got all of the endings. Got into every scene. Just this recording, managed to get into one by accident. Which got all of the scenes checked off as well. Also, apparently, according to the clear list, I've also done 100% of the choices, which may mean, I've seen 100% of them, or I've made all of the possible choices in each of the choices. that being said, it could be a 99.5 that just rounds up or something like that. So if I actually have seen every choice, that means that any sort of progress on like text in the scenes that I have not passed off, that comes from combinations of choices as opposed to individual choices. I had this like tips 98 out of 110 thing. Don't know what that means. I mean, I presume that's seeing all of the messages with tips in them, but that's a very, very high amount of tips unseen. Like 12? Holy moly. That's disproportionate amount of high non-tips. And I definitely did not enter 99% of the tips. I mean 98 tips. I didn't actually look at 98 pages of tips at any point. And if I have 99% of the messages and only 98 out of 110, the tips that's like the messages I have remaining, as I was saying, they would have a disproportionately high amount of tips. So the tips one's confusing me. I'm missing one CG. We'll get to that later. So as far as Kokoro is concerned, I have got everything in the beginning all the way up to Shadow of Falsehood, in which I have a few lines that have not been triggered. And then I have a line or two in the beginning of Ego Collapse, which is a very short scene where you run out there and there's Uni and you ask him why you ran away, or you return to the shelter cabin immediately. Self-defense false accusation, somehow I've not finished. Endless mantled environment, which is the short scene where you go talk to Meizumi, and it seems to only trigger if you eat the food yourself. Still haven't finished everything in that by a lot. Actually, it's I think it's one of my most incomplete scenes. There's one later I saw through. It's more. Once I get through past endless mantled environment, I'm now good through the end of Kokoro. I've seen everything there is to see at the end of Kokoro. Satoru, I've seen everything there is to see all the way up to Polyhedron, where there's probably one line of text I have not seen. And that's the one where you go into the scene where you go into Uni's room or Kaiko's room and you talk to them, basically. Then DHA, which is the short scene where you decide I want to snowboard or I want to play basketball. And you end up playing basketball anyway, depending on which one you choose. It's only at 70%. I'll return to that later. NBA, which has a bunch of randomly generated stuff, is at 99%. I presume that there's a randomly generated line that I have not randomly generated yet. Then we're good all the way up to insertion, in which I have 3% not seen. And then from insertion to the end, I have everything. So going to the album, there's one CG that I am missing. And it happens between Crucify's Rat and Sabbath Time. Well, that's a very long stretch of scenes. But if we look at that stretch, and we'll see that Crucify's Rat is up here, Sabbath Time is down here, and in between those two, there is some text I don't have, which I expect to accompany the CG I don't have, DHA, which leads me to believe that the CG that I'm missing is in DHA. And think about the priorities, right? Like, what's more important? What's the most important? Getting all the endings is the most important, right? Then seeing all the art, right, is the next most important. And then lastly, the least important would be reading all the text. So the next thing I should do, if I have my priorities straight, is to try to get the missing CG in DHA. Just really aim for that. That should be what I'd be going for. And these other scenes where it's like I got 98 or 99% of the text, that's fine. I should leave it that way and shouldn't really necessarily feel too bad about it. One of the thing is 87 here on endless mental environment. That is quite a lot though. So I feel like I should be able. I want to figure that one out. Anyway, at least we got all the endings. So we got all the beginnings and ends of Kokoro and Satoru. Like, you know, we got from like insertion down. We got from endless mental environment down. So 99% of the text. So quite a bit. If I don't think of anything, it's guide, a more intense guide, probably next time.